Good morning, everybody, and a happy Monday morning to you. I am back from vacation. We have a lot to catch up on, which is why this is such a long video, but stick with me, okay? Let me just say that I'm glad you guys found my husband so funny. The truth is, as I said, he had been listening to me taping these episodes last week and saw me sliding down the hill quickly and said, pick up your phone and start taping. And I said, why? And he said, just do it. And that's when I caught him on tape. He was so funny, but I really needed that from him. I was not in a good frame of mind or a good space, but I'm glad that you guys found him so funny. All right, let's move in now. Last week, there was a dedication ceremony to unveil a Commonwealth plaque at the Nottingham City War Memorial on Victoria Embankment. And the Duke of Gloucester was there, and he gave a speech during the service of dedication to those who served in 2 world wars. This was an event to recognize the service and sacrifice of those from Commonwealth nations. Next up, a display is opening up from never before seen outfits. For instance, what you're looking at are the Liberty print dresses worn by Princess Elizabeth and Princess Margaret as children. There's all kinds of outfits. Princess Diana's darling tuxedo gown, Queen Victoria's mourning bodice, all kinds of interesting outfits never seen on display before. There's also the red Jasper Conran suit worn by Princess Diana in 1984. You'll be able to see examples of court dress. That's pretty cool. Here you have a green embroidered evening gown worn by Princess Margaret in 1980. Outfits that belong to Queen Alexandra. It's taken 3 years to bring all this together, and there's a total of 34 pieces from the Royal Ceremonial Dress Collection from 1870 up to present. That's pretty cool. Next up, we have the Duke of Westminster and Olivia Henson. Remember, they had that fabulous wedding. William was an usher. Harry was disinvited. Well, the news has come out that they are expecting their very first baby. Very exciting news. Congratulations to them. Way to go. Let's move on. Next up, we have Secret Weapon Sophie, who remains in New York, and she did some more engagements as part of the program for the UN Commission on the Status of Women. And she delivered the keynote address in her role as Global Ambassador for the IAPB at the UN Friends of Vision Group meeting. She discussed systemic barriers preventing women from getting eye care and was present at the No Woman Left Behind side event, highlighting the urgent need for eye health equality for women. She was also present at the UK's Invest in Women task force that supports female entrepreneurs as an essential initiative. Let's move on now to Queen Camilla, who hosted a reception to mark the 15th anniversary of Women of the World, WOW, which is an organization that promotes gender equality worldwide. She is the president. So she hosted all these women who she said refused to take no for an answer at Buckingham Palace. Now, of course, right off the bat, somebody noticed that Victoria Beckham was there. There were a lot of other big names there, but Victoria Beckham was there. And of course, the first thing everybody noticed was that she did the most perfect curtsy. We all know that Victoria and David no longer have a relationship with Harry and Meghan, and one of the reasons is that Victoria and David believe in family, and they don't approve of the way that the King and Camilla have been treated. But anyway, let's go back to it. Camilla gave a speech towards the end of this event, and what she said is, without fail, whenever WOW gathers, I have met the most extraordinary and impressive women who have quite simply refused to take no for an answer. Some of them have a significant public profile, others can't be named because the work that they do would put their lives or the lives of whom they support in danger. And all of them have faced obstacles that easily could have intimidated them into a silent resignation to the status quo. Camilla ended by saying, by following in the footsteps of these amazing women and girls who will not take no for an answer, we members of the WOW family fervently hope that this will be achieved in a much shorter time. Seeing you all here, I am filled with confidence that together we can make sure that this happens. That's very inspiring speech. And a big thank you to Remoulade Sauce for showing us what Victoria was wearing. Now, sticking with Queen Camilla, she sent a letter of support to the woman above for the reason above. An envelope that had the seal of the British royal family arrived among thousands of letters to support this woman following her fight against her husband and the men who did what they did to her. They said that she was stunned, moved, and proud to see she had managed to take the fight to the British royal family. And one more thing about Queen Camilla you may not know, she went to visit a cancer charity, already knowing that Charles had the disease before it was publicly known, and it was said she could not show the slightest flicker of vulnerability. Amazing. Let's move on. Let's move on now to King Charles. Everybody is just praising him. He was at the Royal College of Nursing and was invited to give a try of CPR on a mannequin. He was there to celebrate the 1000th King's Nursing Cadet. The king saw some other things like how to do the Heimlich correctly, and he listened to some stuff that they had going on there. But then they asked him to join in the demonstration of how to give CPR correctly. Now, the king has already been trained in CPR, in case you're unaware of that. And so he was all smiles, and he gets up there and he starts pumping the mannequin's chest. And, you're supposed to do it to 30. Well, I think he did it to 20. I don't know if he got tired. And let me just tell you, from somebody who did CPR all those years, it is exhausting. You can only do it for 1 to 2 minutes. You have to pass off. Anyway, he was laughing, and he finally looks up. He goes, well, at least I didn't break it. No, I believe it was at this point that he handed over I don't know if it was in a plaque or an award or what it was, to celebrate the 1000th King's Nursing Cadet. Love it. Moving on. Still sticking with King Charles, the king received the Usher of the Black Rod of the Senate of Canada, and it was bestowed upon him a new ceremonial sword. It was given by Gregory Peters with Speaker of the Senate of Canada, Raymond Gange, I believe that's how you say it. The position of Usher of the Black Rod, which, by the way, originated 600 years ago, is a senior protocol officer in the Canadian Parliament. The responsibilities are traditional, ceremonial, and administrative. And Mr. Gregory Peters is the 17th Usher of the Black Rod since the Confederation. Next up, we know that Princess Catherine is the honorary colonel of the Irish Guards, and we know that she missed last year's event because of her cancer treatment. However, on March 11th, it was confirmed that Catherine, the Princess of Wales, will visit the Irish Guards at the St. Patrick's Day Parade in the Wellington Barracks on the holiday, which is happening the day you're watching this video, Monday. So what I will do is show you all the pictures on Tuesday's video, but I'm glad she's back to work. Let's keep going. Prince William, he was in the West Midlands for a very specific reason, and we're going to cover that in just a minute. But when he got to Willenhall, he was met with school children, and these kids were screaming, "William, William, William." It was just crazy. Now, he had no idea these people were going to be there. This was an impromptu walkabout because people had heard about his visit and they gathered to see him, including pupils from the Fibbersley Park Primary Academy. So, of course, William goes through chatting and greeting the younger children, and they're chanting "William, William." But some of the school children just grabbed onto him and gave him these big hugs. And on social media, they really praised William for his demeanor and noted how similar he behaved in relation to Princess Diana. Notice William's not saying, "I'm like, my mother." Other people are noting it, and there, in my opinion, is the big difference. They're claiming that William is a rock star and the only people's prince, just like Diana, the Prince of Hearts. Love it. So let's continue. So the reason William was in that area was he was going to a referee training course at a place called Sporting Khalsa FC as part of a campaign to get more people from Black, Asian, and mixed race into the job of being referees. William was there to hear about the reflective and representative campaign to break barriers in recruitment, retention, and representation. In 2023, only 2% of referees were apparently from Black, Asian, or mixed heritage backgrounds. Now it's over 10%. William went in, talked with them about all the key skills that are needed to being a referee. Apparently, it's not as easy as it looks. Just as an FYI, it's called Football Should Be for Everyone. It was launched in March of 2023, and the campaign is to get 1,000 referees. Okay, so they took William out and put him through his paces. Boy, ugh. For this, I'm just going to play you some music. Towards the end of the visit, of course, some gifts were imparted. I don't know if this was just something for William or if there were enough for the kids. I don't know. But a fabulous group photo was taken. Look at that. I love that. Now, of course, while he was in the area, William dropped in on the Aston Villa players at their training ground, and it looks like everybody there wanted a big hug, or maybe William was hugging them for good luck. It turns out that Aston Villa had a game that night. It was in the Championship League. And we found that out because William showed up at the Villa Park Stadium in Birmingham. Now, what's being said is that the first half was very dull. Neither team scored a goal. He was sitting there with his good friend Thomas von Strabensee, I believe is how you say it, and two other friends. And at other points, they just kind of smiled and exchanged discussions and pointing at things. There was nothing major going on. However, there was a missed opportunity from Villa, that team, and you could see the expression when he covered his mouth, with his hand. But then the second half was a lot more exciting. The Aston Villa team scored their first goal, and then right after that, they scored two more, like back to back. And William just went absolutely crazy. William was so excited when the second, I'm assuming it was the second and third goals were made. He turns around to his companion that was on his left. He's cheering. As you can see, the guy is holding a cup of coffee. William reaches up, grabs the guy's hand, grabs the guy's face. He's like, oh my God, almost knocks the guy's coffee out of his hand. And William tries to grab it so the guy doesn't end up spilling hot coffee all over himself. I mean, that's just so funny. But he was really cool with the fans, taking selfies, waving thumbs up for their photos. I love that. All right, let's move on. FYI, it was announced that William at the end of March will go on a visit by himself to the Baltic state bordering Russia. No Catherine. All right, next up, Zara Tindall went to the first day of the Cheltenham Festival. My God, did she look gorgeous. No wonder she was snapped up to be the face of that clothing brand. She's so stylish. Now, I believe, and I could be wrong, but I believe she was there by herself. I didn't see any pictures of her with family. I did see some pictures of her maybe with a friend, but nobody with the family. So I believe she attended the first day of the races by herself. Just what I think. A big thank you to Remoulade Sauce for showing us what she was wearing. Let's move on to day 2 of the races, where Mike was seen with her along with Princess Eugenie and Jack Brookbanks. I gotta be honest, lately I'm not very happy to see Eugenie. She has dropped in currency. We'll discuss that at another time. Also seen on that day was Queen Camilla. It was so-called Style Wednesday at the Cheltenham track, which by the way is 90 miles west of London in case you don't know it. So she was there as joint patron of the Jockey Club, which is an organization that runs horse racing in the UK. And then later, she was handing out the trophy to the winner of one of the flagship races, the Queen Mother Champion Steeplechase. The race is named after Charles's grandmother, not his mother. Now, Camilla was seen talking to her ex-husband. I think it's nice that they have that kind of relationship, that they can bump into each other in social circles and it's not just a big deal. Also, her daughter, Laura Lopez, was there. Natalie Pinkham was there. Now, later on, they went to go to a special stand that was named after Princess Anne and inspired by her royal title. Pretty nice. Also up there with her was her son, Tom Parker Bowles, who also showed up at the festival. And as usual, a big thank you to Remoulade Sauce for showing us that everything Queen Camilla and Eugenie was wearing. Let's move on to our Harry Meghan stuff. Somebody noted that she says she's worked as a nanny, a cocktail waitress, a gift wrapper, a supervisor, embassy. Did I miss anything? Yes, you forgot the ice cream store. Also, basically, she wants people to love her like her father did. That's spot on comment. One other thing, several of you seem to notice that Meghan could totally understand that there was a pecking order among the chickens, but not among the royal family. All right, here we go. It seems the dam has broken and people are speaking up, whereas before they may not have. And here's a perfect example. Comedian Catherine Ryan, who previously had defended Meghan from public backlash, has now blasting Meghan during the last episode of her podcast, telling everybody everything. She said, I liked Meghan Markle. I was rooting for Meghan Markle, even though she's very Hollywood. And even for me, and I don't like that in people. She said, but I can see now, maybe it's just the project she's choosing. Basically, she's seeing what the rest of us are seeing, okay? She says, it feels like she lied about whether she knew who Prince Harry was. She says her details about her childhood keep changing and they don't add up, which is what we all have said. Where she says on her Netflix show that they ate TV dinners growing up, but then in an old interview, she was like, we ate farm fresh. She said her whole act is manicured and very forced. I've known a lot of Hollywood people, she said. They're not bad. I don't think she's a bad person, but she likes cozying up to celebrities and she wants $100 million deals and she likes the fact that she's married to a prince. But I would rather someone lean into that and be like, oh my God, I used to be on Suits and now I'm married to a prince. And I would rather that than this act of, oh, I'm just so humble when she's not. And she's not the only person speaking out. Now you have Tina Brown, who is a journalist, Princess Diana, former biographer, and the previous editor-in-chief of Vanity Fair from 1986 to 1992. She said the problem with Meghan is she's never figured out a convincing persona. She has an unerring instinct for getting it wrong. The only show that would have worked would have been if Meghan would have admitted what a flaming flop the last 5 years have been. Who announces a new lifestyle brand and hounds celebrity friends to talk it up without doing due diligence on the availability of the trademark? Good point. She said Meghan is impatient, always behind the curve. And she said all Meghan had to do was shut up and wait, go quiet a couple of years, start a family, keep her eyes trained on the royal estate that would soon come up for grabs, but no. Then Camilla Tominey spoke out and said if Harry and Meghan were genuine working parents, they'd have a better idea of what it actually entails, where you don't have sex due to exhaustion, the endless bargaining over the school run, arguments about who's making dinner, petty squabbles, loading the dishwasher, and the never-ending washing piles. All this choreographed Insta porn achieves is to make working mothers feel even more inadequate for not leading the kind of perfect and polished existence that she does. Then the next person to speak out was royal chef Richard Corrigan, who said Meghan's show was pretentious and cheap. He said, listen, I watched the show, but it was overly polished and very Hollywood and unrelatable to a British audience. He says, if Harry and Meghan wanted to leave, then why did they stay in the public spotlight? He said, they're just like Edward VIII and Wallace Simpson. If you're going to live royal life, buy yourself a nice pet and enjoy yourself, but don't be a burden. He says, I have so much empathy for King Charles and the royal family. You can never be responsible for who your children marry. The royals are a nice bunch, and we all have those odd ones in the family. You should know the numbers finally came out, and this 8-part series was watched by 526,000 households in 5 days, whereas the Harry and Meghan show drew 2.1 million views in the same number of days, which says to me that the draw was Harry. Now, you guys should also know that a blind item is coming out. Meghan is pushing for an Emmy for that show, which, it's not going to happen. Comedian Michelle Collins also, she was on that show with Andy, and Andy asked her what she thought of the show, and she goes, I love it, but then she also admitted she hadn't watched it. She says, I do think I want a little bit more, and making a point of the fact that Meghan had opened up that bag, of the pretzels and then just stuck them in another bag. She goes, I was expecting a little bit more. And how does Harry fit into all of this? Well, he's always referred to himself as the spare, and now they're saying that he's Meghan's spare part for her show. You know what? You've got Harry and Meghan, who are two of the most privileged people on this earth, who spend their time being so self-obsessed and rude and inconsiderate and moaning and whining about how life is unfair. And I think people are just over them. All right, now let's jump into this, because the Daily Mail did an in-depth look at what Harry and Meghan's names really are with this whole Sussex debacle. We know that Meghan is Rachel Meghan Markle. We know that Harry, Prince Henry Charles Albert David, is known as Harry Mountbatten Windsor, and that's, the names that the children have on their birth certificates. But they're on official documents, including their marriage certificate. It says HRH Prince Henry of Wales married Rachel Meghan Markle. So when Harry and Meghan had their first child, Archie, they referred to Henry and Rachel on the birth certificate, and his last name was recorded as Mountbatten Windsor, which is the official name. So what's being said is the official surname of the royal family is Mountbatten Windsor, but as long as they hold the title of the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, they are within their rights to use the last name of Sussex and the children's last name as Sussex. That's protocol. It's royal protocol. Why they suddenly want to do it now, I don't understand. Probably because she's trying to hang on to the royal family and her connection to the royal family, because they don't have any more dirt to dish. You know what I mean? So people are asking, when is the royal family going to strip those titles? Because it's past time to do that. All right, let's touch on our last thing for today, and it's the bath salts. Apparently, Meghan Markle's recipe is not good and can actually really hurt you. I'm wondering if somebody follows that recipe and they end up being burned on their skin, can they sue her or Netflix? Interesting thought. What was pointed out is that essential oils are hydrophobic, which means they don't mix with water. So if you add them to a bath without the proper dispersant, they float on the surface, come into contact with your skin, and they can irritate your skin and even burn your skin. So it makes you wonder, it's very irresponsible and dangerous what she did, and apparently nobody's checking behind her. You know what I'm saying on the show? Not good. All right, you guys, you know what to do. Hit the like and the subscribe button and the bell for all notifications. Then go down into the description box where you'll find the link to my Twitter, my Gettr, my Rumble, my email, my Amazon wish list, a link to my father's book, which is still up for sale, and a physical address. For those of you who've donated to my coffee fund, thank you so much. And as always, you guys, have a great day.